Vietnam in 49 Tiny Essays, written by yours truly. 1. Vietnamese Afterlife. Ignoring the minority of classical Buddhist or Christian believers for now, most Vietnamese unknowingly follow Epicure and his philosophy of when we exist, death is not, and when death exists, we are not. They simply seem to ignore it, and it seems to work pretty well. It's a speculation, but maybe the constant presence of the ancestors in their shrines and the deep-rooted belief in ghosts that goes way beyond Christianity and Buddhism creates some kind of unconscious faith that the last beat of the heart will somehow not be the end of everything. 2. Ambition in Vietnam. Translating the word ambition into Vietnamese is not easy, even though the dictionary seems to give a quite unambiguous answer. Tham vong. Comparing Western ambition with Vietnamese tham vong is unfair because the cultures have different conditions. Radical Western individualism isolates people. The resulting loneliness and inner void has to be compensated and unleashes a great force that pushes people towards creation and extreme achievements. Embedded into a loving family and a social circle and maybe guided by a god, no one would go so far. Some uncle would come, tap him on the shoulder, and say, "Em ơi, chill out, take a break, have a coffee, tomorrow is also a day." 3. Vietnamese architecture. Beauty is not the first thing that comes to mind when roaming the streets of a Vietnamese city. A multitude of buildings, mostly high and narrow because of the high property taxes, is clutched together apparently randomly along the busy streets, like the work of 1,000 children playing together with building bricks. Different colors, different styles, different sizes, different levels of maintenance, strewn with obtrusive ads for pho, copy shops, barber shops, massage parlors, karaoke, and so on, and occasionally interrupted by a tiny piece of jungle or wasteland. Yet after spending some time in these lively labyrinths, one can find some kind of structure and charm, especially when considering how fast they have grown out of small fishing and farming villages. It's a charm based on knowing and understanding how millions of people work and live together under harsh conditions, love, drink, fight, struggle with corruption, start a business, lose a business, raise their children, die and are born. Or in other words, it's the charm of life. 4. Banh mi, the culinary synthesis of France and Vietnam, the apotheosis of street food. Or simply yummy. 5. Vietnamese branding. Many companies in Vietnam are state-owned. When they create their logos and brand names, they often use the Vietnamese iconography as an inspiration. VinFast, Vinmart, Vinamilk, and Viettel are some examples. The colors red and yellow are also prevalent in many companies and products. This way, it works as an extended and indirect advertisement for the state. 6. Buddhism in Vietnam. Like everywhere else, Buddhism in Vietnam works like a sponge and sucks in everything around or parts of it. It is highly syncretic, and the temples combine symbols and styles from Chinese and Indian Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, and folk religion. One personal experience about the practice, not the philosophy, may be allowed here. I attended several services with chanting, teachings, and meditation in Thailand as well as in Vietnam. One difference that seems significant to me is that Thai Buddhism is rather spiritual and inward, whereas Vietnamese Buddhism is more concrete and a communal experience that has some similarities with Christian youth meetings. 7. Vietnamese child care. Children are dearly loved and a lot of money and patience is invested into the small ones. A lot of public child care offers exist that start at a very young age. The quality is questionable, and one should rather go for personal trust than for the good name. The same goes for schools. Luckily, there is another option, if no such childcare center is available or affordable. Grandparents. It is very common that grandparents take care of babies and children while mother and father are working or running errands. This way the old ones don't get rusty and the young ones keep the money flowing. 8. Vietnamese coffee. Condensed milk with ice cubes and potatoes? I forgot. Sitting at coffee shops and drinking it consumes large amounts of people's time, and economists estimate that spending 10% less time in coffee shops would boost the economy by 50%. But the coffee shop lobby is just too strong, and I should be quiet now and drink another cup. Cheers. 9. Vietnamese disparity between city and countryside. In the so-called first world countries, rural areas and urban areas are quite similar. The villages have good infrastructure, the mobility is high, the education is good, and the lifestyle doesn't differ a lot from the city. In Vietnam, the situation is different. Apart from the land and the cattle, there is usually no wealth in the countryside. People are financially poor and also very poorly educated. And even though the internet has reached most places, the things going on in a young girl's head in some mountain village and in Hanoi are probably quite different. The exodus of young folks to the cities is ongoing. It's the old story. They want to study and make money or are pushed to do so. Then the money flows, and some portion of it is spent for fashion items and other city utilities, and another for the family far away to buy medicine for grandma or to invest in a new cow. It's surprising that this system doesn't lead to a complete alienation between the generations. Instead, the family bonds seem to stay strong and survive the separation. And in many cases, it has interesting advantages. In economic terms, one could call it diversification. The family is not depending just on their farm anymore now. They have 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the number of outsourced children, sources of income now. And if there is a crisis, the children can always come back to their home base. 10. Disparity between North and South Vietnam. Legend has it that the dragon lord Lac Long Quan and his wife, the fairy or immortal Ao Go, had an offspring of 100 eggs that developed into 100 boys. After that, they surprisingly found out that dragons and fairies don't make a good couple and decided to separate. The father, Lac Long Quan, took 50 sons and moved to the coastal south, whereas the mother, Ao Go, took the other 50 and moved to the mountainous north. This is just an old story to illustrate that the division between North and South and the modern stereotypes that come along are nothing new. There is a difference in mentality, language, landscape, religion, and so on, even though the borders are blurred, of course. Vietnam War was just the tip of the iceberg. But despite all these differences, the Vietnamese somehow belong together in the end.